Yeah, the batteries are dead. It's been so long since I used it. And that, too. I didn't even think about charging it today. So hopefully being plugged in, it will keep it going.
All right, I'm going to call the regular meeting for the Village of Council to order. First item is introduction of late items. We have one. It's a community preparedness fund, and that'll be under new business 10D. You all have a handout in front of you. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor as amended? Carried. And the next one is the reading and the adoption of minutes. A motion that the minutes from the August 28th, 2018 regular council meeting be adopted as presented or amended. Thank you. Second?
I'll second the minutes.
Thank you. Any corrections? Okay, hearing none. All in favor as presented? Carried. Next item is a motion that the minutes of the September 4th, 2018 special council meeting be adopted as presented or amended.
I'll do those.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second them.
Thank you. Any corrections? No? Okay. Hearing none, call the question. All in favor as presented? Carried. And the last one is a motion that the minutes of the September 10th special council meeting be adopted as presented or amended.
I'll move them.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Change it up a bit. Any corrections?
Just a couple comments.
Okay.
On that table provided on pages 14 and 15, under child and family, last line on page 14, number 1 service levels were transferred to Councillor Green as a topic. And also, under the second line, the policing services levels, traffic amnesty increase is also moved from Councillor Ruby to Councillor Green as a topic. On the page
Okay,
50.
next page. Okay. All right, any others? Okay, so we'll call the question. All in favor as amended? Carried. Next item is petitions and delegations. First up is Chief David Ruby of the McBride District Volunteer Fire Department reporting to council on activities and statistics.
Me first.
You betcha.
Thank you, Stephen, for inviting me again and being able to come to the council and tell them what we're up to. RCMP, fire and ambulance have been working really well this last year and a half through the fires that we had last year and this year. We've had earlier in last year and this year, we've had public meetings on just keeping everybody up to date and had most of the emergency services plus council plus Valemont. You know, there was numerous people there. And it went really well. It was well received by everybody there. Let Kyle talk about the CM training we're going to be doing. So we've been very busy in the department. Year to date, we've had a total of 42 calls. I've given everyone a paper there to a breakdown of the different calls we've been getting. And for the last 2 years, or two years ago, the province of BC implemented a training standard for the whole province, so everybody's on the same page. All departments are training to this standard. So it's a minimum standard that everybody's reaching. We call it the playbook, or is the name they gave it. So we've been working really hard on that. It's going really well. It's been hard to meet a lot of the standards because of the out-of-town training on it and stuff. So my budget is really caught a beating trying to get people out of town and get them trained up, because we don't have that kind of training in this area at all. So it's been really good. My group has been probably just beyond working toward it. We also have to meet a minimum of 60 hours training per year in the department. That's pretty well the regional district's requirement. And we've been really, really well. Out of the 22 member roster we're holding right now, we've got a total of 1,501 3/4 hours in training through the group. With a total of 1,729 hours of total time with call-outs, out-of-town training, and the in-house training we do. And the department's been really committed to it. Been lots of extra training, and a lot of it has come through the hazmat training we've been handed to us due to the ammonia leaks we've had around the provinces, which there was another one here in the last couple of days down to the coast somewhere. So the provincial government, WorkSafe BC, the Safety Authority has handed down numerous new rules and regulations to the rec centers or the ammonia using complexes. Out of that is coming down to the emergency responders. One day I spent 1 day through 3 meetings, and the next day in Valemont over it. So between McBride and Valemont, our rec centers here are working really, really well toward it. The special training we're taking is mainly just the hazardous material end of it. Probably over 50% of us are trained already. I just had 2 more come back this last weekend, do some more training on it. So a little over 50% of us are trained up on the hazmat awareness and the decontamination process that's required. I was presented a book, probably about 1 inch thick, from the rec center, from the regional district, I guess, to us, on all the new standards and requirements and stuff that's come down the tube. In the near future, you'll see a little windsock on the fire hall, one of the requirements we had to put up, so we know wind direction when we get called to it. Our ammonia leak we had here, I think about 3 years ago now, due to not equipment failure, to snow damage caused a leak. We've been put up on these reports really well. We've been well received through the safety standards on what we did and how we did it. We're receiving calls from other towns asking how we did it and what we did, and it's worked really well. You know, and we weren't pace setters. I don't know if we were more luck than not, but you know, it did work out for us. No injuries, no problems, nothing here on our call. So it worked out really, really well. As I said, I'm working with Valemont the same way. So Valemont and McBride will be mutual aiding automatically. If we get a major ammonia leak, we're putting that in the process soon. Actually tomorrow, and one of our meetings in Prince George we're going to is if we get a major ammonia leak call, we're going to automatically mutual aid whoever. So McBride will go to Valemont, or Valemont will be heading here with us to assist us with it. Last fall, most of you know, we purchased a nice little fine, shiny red fire truck. To date, we have a 2017 pumper, 2005 tanker tender, and a 2005 urban interface fire rescue unit. The new truck, due to some modifications I got to put on it, is we can extend the life of that to a 30-year program. 20 years as a first attack vehicle. Another 10, we can use it as a tender tanker. So with the price of these units now, we're getting to over $600,000 for that one. We're trying to get as much life out of them as we can, and we will get that extended as 30 years. So it's going to work well for us. The 2005 tender has the same thing, a 30-year lifespan, and the 2005 urban fire rescue unit, there's no expiry on it. Its life is going to depend on the abuse and use and how it goes. So there's no expiry on that unit whatsoever. As I said, wear out is its enemy. The last few years has been challenging in the fire department due to a lot of my senior members have moved out of the area, moved on, so I've lost quite a few of them. As I said, though, we're still 22 members strong. We're doing really well. It's working. Everybody's working really well together. All in all, we have moved on and we're in great shape.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions of Chief Ruby?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to thank you for your service to the community.
I'm finishing my 38th year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is Corporal Kyle Ushop from the RCMP detachment here in McBride, reporting on their activities and statistics.
I apologize for not having those out sooner. It was in Regina 2 weeks ago and Prince George all last week for meetings, so.
There isn't going to be a quiz, is there?
No, there's actually multiple choice.
Okay.
So I think there's one there for Council Edwards as well, if not, I have extra copies. And I apologize, I thought I pushed print in color, but they came out black and white. So. So I just want to thank everyone for allowing myself to come and do our detachment report. I know it was kind of delayed this year through a variety of concerns with the wildfire and staffing challenges. So I just want to take the time to thank Chief Ruby for his support. Being my first post here, it's been good to have some more senior leadership. I will put out there that you've been in the job 3 years longer than I've been alive. So we've done quite a few joint exercises this year. I'll speak to the CN derailment scenario. So we realized that there is room for improvement for emergency services, RCP, fire, ambulance, Village of McBride ESS, as well as regional district to come together should an emergency event happen. I like to prepare ahead of time before doing the what could we have done to make this better. So we've decided in conjunction with CN and their hazardous materials team that the scenario is going to be a derailment at the Eddy Road overhead, consisting of at least 2 propane cars that have gone off and exploded. So that's going to encompass the regional district as well as Village of McBride. It's going to be the high school as well because we've got a concern for the high school there. We haven't decided what other cars are going to be involved, but we figure we might as well go big versus just a little diesel spill. So that's going to be a 2-day scenario coming up. The first morning is going to be for fire and police only for the initial attack, and then about 1 o'clock or noon to about 4, we'll have everybody come in and say, you know, the initial attack's done. Where do we go from here? So that's just kind of a quick Coles notes about what the scenario is going to be. Everyone's invited to it. We've got great responses from everyone. Even inspectors from Transport Canada Rail Safety are engaged as well. So hopefully we see some high-level government entities coming to come to our small scenario. So, all right. So we'll start to page 2 here. Again, I have a really nice colored one. I apologize. So this is what we call our a call for service heat map. With our Prime system, I'm able to compute all the calls for service during a given time, and the heat map basically denotes where these calls for service are. Village of McBride is in the dark red in the center. Again, it's probably dark gray on yours. Again, I apologize for that. There'll be some outline calls. There's a question or a speech box with the number 2 above it. That'd be the 2 calls for service we had in Kakwa Lakes during the winter. It was double SAR rescue. One was a fatality that ended up going to Grand Cache for ease of exit and removal of the deceased to the family. He was actually from Grand Cache, so we took care of that one. And then there was another SAR call out for a female snowmobiler that crashed into a tree and had significant injuries. So again, that was handled through Grand Cache. We tried to assist SAR and or BC ambulance, but our entry and exit through there would be 10 to 12 hours, as I was told, so I can't reasonably put the Village of McBride with no police for 10 to 12 hours to go do a job that there's better people equipped for. So thankfully, Grand Cache RCMP and Grand Cache Search and Rescue and STARS Ambulance helped out with those 2. So our calls for service from January 1st to August 31st was 574. Those range from abandoned 911 to traffic-related files. We are up 70 calls from last year, and we attribute that to more enhanced traffic enforcement on the highway. Those traffic calls go from basic traffic complaints to issuing some tickets for no driver's license, no insurance. On the next page, we have a little bit more of a breakdown there. So during that time, 36 vehicles were impounded. That ranges from excessive speeds, where we had 21 for that. Fastest was 169 kilometers an hour, and the driver told me that his car was capable of going faster. So we'll leave it at that ticket for there. It's still to be disputed, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to dispute it. The other impoundments are for prohibited driving, criminal code, immediate roadside prohibitions, driving while suspended, or the impoundment of the note from January to August 31st was a individual who possessed a Manitoba and Alberta driver's license that was suspended Canada-wide 4 times over for impaired driving. Was suspended under the Motor Vehicle Act in Alberta and British Columbia as well. So he wasn't too happy losing his mom's truck, which I believe is still in the tow yard here. So yeah, so if you don't have a license, don't drive through McBride. 5 impaired drivers, 2 went by criminal code, 3 went by immediate roadside prohibitions. And we had some great partnership again with the McBride Fire Department and LBM. One call of note was the significant browning of the electrical grid we had out off of Westland Road. There's a tree branch on the lines there, and there's some concerns about people not slowing down over the Door River overhead, so provided some traffic assistance for that. On that note, we did go to a digital radio system approximately 1 month ago. Fire department's already been provided access to it under the X Channel BC approved through the RCMP. I believe Ministry has an application in, or should have been approved.
I haven't heard.
Okay.
I'll check with Val.
And Roger Peterson's been advised of that. The one comment that I have is, I think it's fantastic how we all work together on one radio channel. Case in point was the B train that went over on Westwind. We were able to communicate quite clearly and effectively right away and got the road closed down. So. And I know Chief Ruby has dedicated radio to that channel in the new truck, so hopefully we can figure out how to make that clear communication continue on. 12 prisoners, we just got number 13 today. He is in Prince George as he failed to participate in the justice program, as the Judicial Justice of the Peace commented. So I have a feeling he will be here on Friday, or next Friday. So some quick commander highlights on my part. Again, our pre-planning interagency meetings for the wildfire. I think I'd be lying if I said I didn't think we were going to be in for a significant season up here. I think we got off lucky, and I think there's probably going to be a fall meeting coming up as well as a spring. I know it's more in Tijon area, but if it happens with Tijon, we're going to be dedicated resources there as well. So I'd like to start planning for that. Again, the big one coming up is the mock scenario with myself and Chief Ruby spearheading this. Lots of time and dedication has gone into this to make it worthwhile, to bring everybody in. The game plan for next year is to actually bring a burn car up from South Carolina. And what that will be is an actual rail car that the fire department can light on fire and actually attack as a scenario, like an actual scenario for them. And that will allow all of us, based on what we've learned from this year, to put into a mock evacuation for the town. So that's going to encompass a lot of people, and we'll give lots of heads up for that and lots of information out to the community, so it's not a, oh man, there's a train car burning. So lots of heads up on that, because I don't need phone calls from Prince George going, what is going on? Again, our working relationships with the local emergency services, CBSC, LDM is second to none. We get comments from Prince George all the time of how do you guys work so well together, and it's just open communication. I say my office is always open for coffee. It's not the best, but it is McDonald's, so again, it's always open for a pop-in to say hi. Another committee that we've recently formed with Northern Health Ambulance, we'll be bringing fire on with it, and the Robson Valley Community Services Society, dealing with the elderly population McBride. We've got a few individuals up concerned who are suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's. that have done some wandering in the summer. We have concerns with the winter coming up. Growing up in Manitoba, I know it's 10 minutes and you freeze to death, so that's the last thing I want to see is that happening here. So we're working proactively with Kelty, Roger, Lena and the hospital to try and figure out what we can do to help these families. Because, like I say, the last thing we want is to be in the news for a medical reason for someone freezing to death. It's not pleasant, and I don't think anyone wants McBride or any emergency services to go through that because it's not pleasant. We increased our visibility in McBride Elementary and the secondary schools. And speaking with the law teachers in McBride Secondary, we're going to be delivering some law lectures. I might be getting wrangled in to teach some of the law classes myself. And then we've got a big pancake breakfast coming up for the elementary school in 2 weeks. It's turning out to be a brunch just due to time frames, and apparently the teachers don't like the kids hopped up on syrup first thing in the morning, so that was their request. So, and again, visibilities in the communities on the roadways. I put the alpine areas in as well. We had in these files we had a member seriously injured and almost killed out one of our Renshaw patrols in February. We've since kind of revamped our patrol rationale and logic. It was inappropriate snowmobiles for the area. For whatever reason, we were provided with trail sleds, which, as we know, there's no trails through here. So I've recently acquired $40,000 worth of new sleds. And unfortunately, the vendor didn't put the tearaway tether on. So they're going back to Prince George for them to put that on, because I'm not letting members ride without the tether switches, because that's just a lawsuit waiting to happen. So, as for vehicles, we were tasked with sending one to the wildfires, so we sent our old Tahoe out there. Unfortunately, it suffered detrimental transmission issues, so I'm not getting it back. That's not a smile on my face, that's a frown. That vehicle only had 180,000 kilometers on it and no door panel, so that one's being replaced right now. We've got a new unmarked that just showed up about 2 weeks ago, and the other Tahoe that we have is in good service. No fleet issues as compared to Belmont right now. So we're keeping the Belmont vehicle until we get our new one, which will be a Silverado, which is more attuned to what we need out here, not an Explorer. I will stop there. And our priorities for the next 6 months, again, visibility on the roadways. I've been sitting out at the construction zone with LDM the last couple days. The vehicle I have right now has got the automated license plate reader on it, which has been fantastic. We've had, in the last 2 days, 16 hits for unlicensed vehicles, prohibited drivers, a multitude of scenarios. So that allows us to focus on seatbelts and cell phones while the computer takes care of all the other stuff. So that's been really good. We'll have some holiday check stops coming up. The hot topic right now, as we spoke about earlier, is the marijuana legislation. We are down one member still. We're working on transferring that member and getting a new resource in. All of the members in McBride are SFST trained, which is a standardized field sobriety test. So that will detect physical coordination tests for impairment, including alcohol, drugs, or as they say, polyuse, which is alcohol and drugs. So we're all trained up on that, which is good. I mentioned it last time. I think we're probably the only detachment in BC that's got a 100% compliance right now. So I'm pretty proud of that. Next one is reduction of break and enter and theft files. In regards to that, we had one file that's still before the courts where it was an interrupted break and enter to one of the local mills. The mill owner was able to hold at bay the suspect until we got there. So we arrested 2, recovered about $40,000 worth of stolen trailer off that individual as well. And since that time, he's perjured himself in a statement to me. So that trial will be coming up very, very soon. We're also looking at the reduction in VIR, violence and relationship files. We've developed and implemented the integrated case assessment team for the Robson Valley. That's been in play for the last 2 weeks. So basically what that is it's a group of individuals from police, fire, ambulance, Chief Ruby's on the steering committee, Robson Valley Community Services, Ministry of Child and Family Services, and what we do is we come together and discuss high-risk domestic violence cases. This has never occurred in the Robson Valley before, so Lena Thompson with RVCS was able to secure a funding grant for this. So although it's in the infancies, I think this is going to go very well for the future growth of McBride and Belmont. Regardless of whether Kinder Morgan comes through in Belmont, If that does happen, I could see a spin-off of families coming to McBride, just based on what's available here versus Valemount for housing. So that's ready to go. We don't have an ICAT case yet, which is good, but with the upcoming months, I have a feeling we'll be facilitating some ICAT meetings. We've worked with the Robson Valley Community Services as well for revamping the safe shelter in the Robson Valley, providing them guidance on security within homes. And I know that Lena Thompson is looking at funding to actually get a safe shelter not in someone's residence here in the village, so we've got a big support for that. And again, it's a really good working relationship with community services here. And again, continue on building our community partnerships. Again, I can't say how great it is to work in a community where everyone talks to each other. It's fantastic. Coming in and seeing Mayor Martin, Lucille. Sorry, my dog barks continuously at you. No. I apologize. But
He just loves me. He's saying hi.
well, she says hi too many times though sometimes. So, but it's just the small town community atmosphere where we can just come and talk to each other, which is awesome. It's really easy to run a detachment when we have great communication. Continue the visibility in the schools. We have new victim services, Sarah Olofsson, who started. She's through Robson Valley Community Services. She's split between McBride and Valemount right now, and I believe we're potentially looking at funding to get her on as full-time. I believe she's on either a 19 or 25-hour contract. So like I say, with the expansion of McBride and Valemount, it would be much easier to write a business case to say, this is why we need a full-time victim services. So that's in the pipeline. That's probably, in reality, 3 to 5 years down the line. Again, depending on the growth here in the valley and the need. And again, just liaising with community stakeholders for priorities. We're not that busy at the detachment, which is, it's a double-edged sword. It's great that we don't have crime in the community, but I think we can also focus our efforts on more proactive community stuff, events in the schools, the pancake breakfast, coming out to more community events. That's what I'm looking at doing this year. Again, we've been down for 4 months, 25% of our detachment, so it's kind of tough. I ended up working 64 days straight during the summer. It is what it is, right? I mean, I knew what McBride, I knew what I was coming to in McBride, so I'm not looking for sympathy, but just if we're not out there as much as you like, we're facing a staffing issue right now, so hopefully that's going to be rectified shortly. On that note, we are having 1 member transfer out next summer. Another member's due out, but we're going to see if we can hold on to one of those members, because it's not fair for the community to go through a 75% rotation of the members. That's not something I'm going to let happen, but that's far above my pay scale. So, barring that, if there's any questions.
Well, thank you. I just want to say, like Lucille said to Chief Ruby, thank you very much for your work in the community. It's needed and well supported by council, that's for sure. Council, do you have any questions of the corporal? Councillor Thompson.
When you speak on page 2 about 12 prisoners, that doesn't include the guests that come up to court on Friday mornings, does it?
So any prisoner is considered someone that we log in to the detachment just for record keeping purposes. So I believe there's 1 prisoner in there for court.
Okay.
So the 12 are, there was 2 from a occupied stolen vehicle that one of my relief members got just outside of town that was phoned in. We had 2 that were arrested as a result of a domestic assault. That's 4. 1 would be the other prisoner, and we had an increase in breaches from Valemount. People coming from Valemount on conditions here, breaching no contact orders that get caught and then go back to Valemount. So that's kind of where those numbers are coming from. It's we're kind of on track for what we were last year. We were under 20 prisoners, and I don't expect that to go up this year.
So just to follow up, so some of the guests that arrive on court day, they never actually make it over to the station. Do they actually just sort of hang out in the vehicles here?
No, they'll bring them over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just it's an MOU, a memorandum of understanding we have with the sheriffs. It's you got to bring them in just in case something happens in the courthouse where we can't put 2 people together that may fight. That's a sheriff problem, but I don't want to deal with the ill fault. So.
Thank you, and thank you for all you do for the community.
Councillor Ruby?
Carl, is 5 impaired drivers? That seems quite low, actually. Is that a good number?
I'd like to see 0 myself.
Well, I would too, but
But
Doesn't that seem low?
I think people on the highways are getting the point of not drinking and driving. Unfortunately, some people who are chronic alcoholics, like one of the impaireds that I got out by the Natasha Boyd Conservation Area, who had driven all the way from Kimberley and still blew 2 fails on the approved screen device after driving for 9 hours, are not going to get the point.
Yeah.
So there's unfortunately that segment of the population that don't get it. Again, 4 of those were in town. We'd like to get out on the road more. I have a feel, well, not have a feeling, I suspect that that number is going to be going up with the marijuana legislation coming in, again with our SFST trained members. The process that I've been advised of right now for when someone's believed to be under the influence of drugs and or alcohol is the standard impaired driving processing and procedures. On top of that, there needs to be a blood demand at the hospital, because we're not legally allowed to draw blood from someone. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. I have a feeling that number will go up in flux. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping the message got across. But again, you know, unfortunately, some people just don't get the message. So hopefully that answered your question. As compared to the Campbell River, where I get 5 in the night, it's fantastic here. So.
Yeah. That is more what I would, I mean, statistically, right? Not.
Actually, I will speak to that on one on alcohol there too. I've implemented for special event permits the requirement for security. 1 security personnel for 50 participants at any community event now. I know Sheila and I are having a meeting tomorrow morning about a fairly large event in the community. And that seemed to curb it as well. On the special event permit, I can actually put the requirement to have sober drivers. Whether people choose to use those sober drivers is up to them, but we're doing our due diligence on our part, saying, you know what, we want everyone to have a good time. First of all, there's no reason to drive in McBride. It's a 5-minute walk anywhere. But on top of that, to have safe rides home for everyone.
So that kicks in if the event is over 50 participants expected? Is that what you said?
That's what we've been running at right now,
Okay.
yes. So the large weddings with 250 individuals or expected participants, the requirement is 1 for 50. At this point in time, I'm not requiring licensed security because some of these events would not make any money. They go in the red very quickly. Because that would be requiring people coming from Prince George all the way in. So I'm not looking at being onerous for anyone holding an event in town, but we just need to say, like, come to McBride, have a good time, but be smart about it.
Okay. And have you had any problems in that area in the past?
Not one call.
Not one call.
Nope.
Okay.
With that being said, there is a new couple in town. He is, I believe, has his security certificate, and on top of that has his kind of bartender certificate. So I think he's making some pretty good money at these weddings. So, I mean, it's good, right? I mean, you don't have to bring someone in from Prince George when you have someone like a new family in the community that's able to fill the role that's needed. So
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so the next item on our agenda is questions from the public and press. We have none. So we'll move on to unfinished business. So the first one is regarding council traveling to Prince George to attend the Council of Forest Industries Kofi Dinner on September 18th. Motion reads that council approve mileage and accommodation expenses for Mayor Martin, Councillor Edwards, and Councillor Green to attend Kofi Dinner in Prince George, BC on September 18th, 2018. Can I get a mover and a seconder on that?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Thompson.
How was the dinner?
It was really good.
How was the, like, was there presentations or?
Yes,
I
actually.
was asking, like, I didn't wonder if anyone knew what was on the menu. I don't know. Was it worthwhile?
Actually, it was pretty good. We met with the head of Kofi and several of the major industry leaders in forestry prior to the supper, and then there was a small presentation at supper as well. So it was really good. It was basically an update that I would get normally on the mayor's calls. It was for mayors only, but I invited council. And we talked about the softwood lumber dispute, the caribou habitat, There was a third.
Wildfire.
Wildfires.
Salvage, the issue of salvage related to spruce beetle and wildfire, and the importance of getting the wildfire salvage out of the forest, and working with the First Nations in regards to that. Yeah, it was actually very informative.
It was, and very
Yeah.
well attended too.
Yeah, they don't think that there will be any progress with the softwood lumber situation until after the NAFTA agreement is taken care of. So
Yeah, it doesn't look like
yeah.
there's much movement from the United States. Does that answer your question, Councillor Thompson?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried. On page 2. All right, so we have a whole bunch of reports there. We also have staff present for Public Works and for the financial report. So is there any questions from council to staff?
I'd like to make an addition, just a verbal
Sure.
addition to one of them.
Okay.
Unless there's questions. Yeah, I just wanted to make an addition to the 2018 capital budget summary. We have funds from FCM for building assessment, which we're still waiting for the contract from FCM. We've been chasing it down all summer. They said it's in the mail, but we haven't seen it yet, so I have not wanted to move ahead with any tenders on that contract, on that work, until we actually have a signed contract and I can see what their criteria is.
Thank you. Councillor Green?
This isn't much a question, as I'd like to make a motion based on a comment in CAO's report about our UBCM and the fact that our MLA Shirley Bond was in attendance with us. I would like to make a motion that we send her a letter thanking her for her support.
I'll second that.
Okay, so letter to MLA Bond. Support at UBCM. Councillor Green, Councillor Ruby. Did you get that? Okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, I'll call the question on that one. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any further questions of staff on their reports? No? Okay, can I get a motion to receive the reports for information? Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Alrighty, so we have an abundance of correspondence for information. Can I get a motion to receive items 8B through M for information?
I'll move receipt of the documents.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Page 3, we'll move on to bylaws, permits, and policies. The first one is on the recreational cannabis temporary prohibition. Motion reads that council receive the report to council, recreational cannabis temporary prohibition. Mover and a seconder, please.
I'll second.
Councillor Ruby moving, Councillor Green seconding. Any discussion? Nobody wants to talk about cannabis, huh? All right, I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried. And the next one is the zoning amendment bylaw number 7802018. A motion that council give the zoning amendment bylaw 7802018 third reading.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. And the next one is the business license of amendment bylaw. Whoa. Motion that council give the business license amendment bylaw number 781,2018 third reading. Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Carried. And on to new business. So the first one is the closure of the village office over the holiday season. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're
Sheila?
just proposing, I'd discuss with staff maybe a time frame for us to be able to safely travel over the holidays and to just have that time with family, and having the office closed, I think it's been a past practice. So the closure times would be advertised well in advance of for the community, and we're proposing that December 24th, 27th, and 28th be taken off so they can have a full 5 days off, with Christmas being on the Tuesday, Wednesday this year.
Okay. So motion reads that the council approve the closure of the village office on December 24th, 27th, and 28th, requiring staff to provide supervisors with a leave request utilizing vacation or bank time. Mover and a seconder? Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Councillor Thompson and Councillor Ruby?
Through the chair, will there be an emergency plan in place just in case anything comes up during that time?
Actually, 365 days of the year, it's either Matt or myself that are available. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Ruby?
Just as a sidebar, what's the plan for the next week?
Um,
New Year's.
We would be back to work on the Monday and take the stat off on the Tuesday, which is New Year's.
And that's it.
And that's it, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Next one is the inaugural meeting of council. Administration has updated the 2018 council meeting schedule to show November 5th, 2018 as the inaugural meeting date, as stated in the Corporation of the Village of McBride Council Proceedings Bylaw 771, Section 4.1, which reads, following a general local election, the first council meeting must be held on the first Monday of the month following the election. Do we need a motion on that?
I think it's more for information, just to receive for information.
Just to receive for information?
Mhm.
I think it's already in the procedure bylaw.
I believe so. But we updated the Christmas holidays, so I thought we might need a motion as well. So we'll just get a motion to receive.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Carried. And the next one is on the 2018 UBCM Convention Resolution. The following amendment to B25 resolution is being proposed for council's consideration. Therefore, be it resolved that UBCM lobby the provincial government to provide communities with tools to compel owners of brownfield sites with nominal values of $1 to mitigate the environmental hazards in a timely manner to bring the property value back up to be able to contribute to the municipal tax base. The Village of McBride would like to move to replace the existing therefore statement with that printed above. Motion reads that council approve the amendment to the UBCM Resolution B25 Brownfield Site Assessment Value as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Thompson.
So just as an update, as you recall, we had this at the UBCM convention and it was passed in the block. So the recommendation from the UBCM executive was to endorse, and we were so busy in meetings, this happened well before we could get there to pull it from the block. In trying to pull it from the block after our meetings and our presentation, it was too late. The suggestion was to make this motion and then bring the information back to the UBCM executive so that it better reflects what we want to happen on brownfield sites as opposed to what the therefore originally said. So it's just a matter of some housekeeping. We don't want to ask for something that we don't really want, like a property being assessed at more than $1 and us having to deal with it. So it's just a housekeeping thing.
Okay.
I think it's a better therefore.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion, council? Okay, I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried. And now item 10D, which is our late item. So you have a report here on Community Emergency Preparedness Fund, Emergency Social Services. Did you want to address this?
Yeah,
Julie?
October 5th, UBCM has the deadline for this opportunity for 100% funding. We've already received funding in 2018 and are rolling that out, so we'd like to actually have the opportunity to apply for funding again as a phase 2. We're working with our ESS directors. We're meeting with them next week to discuss what that might look like, but it's 100%, there's no matching funds. And if we could get council's approval on our consideration to be able to apply for that, we require a resolution of council.
Okay. So we'll make the motion that administration apply for a grant. Did you have
The
wording in
recommendation is
mind?
on the back, Mayor Martin.
There you go. Well, that's why.
That's okay.
Recommendation that council support a Village of McBride grant application for the 2019 Community Emergency Preparedness Fund proposed activities and agrees to support the overall grant management. I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion or questions, council? None? Okay. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. All right. So the next one is in camera, a motion that in accordance with section 91C, labor relations or other employee relations. I, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages and that in the view of council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. Council move to a closed in-camera meeting.
Moved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Second?
Yeah, thanks.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion that the open meeting be recessed at 7:46 PM in order to conduct the closed in-camera meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And away we go.
There we go.
That's not too bad, 7:47.